Good morning, I'm Isaiah Jacob. Last night, the Denver Broncos and Buffalo Bills went into an overtime thriller with the Broncos escaping with a 33-30 win. But that did come at a price. Head coach of the Broncos, Sean Payton, announced in the post-game QB Bo Nix had fractured his right ankle just 3 plays before Will Lutz kicked the field goal to give the Broncos the win. Nix will be sidelined the rest of the postseason. Following the overtime thriller, the late game last night got out of hand quick as Seattle jumped to a 17-0 start in the first over the San Francisco 49ers. They went on to roll 41-6. Today, postseason play continues as the Houston Texans travel to take on the Patriots at 3, while the Chicago Bears host the LA Rams at 6:30. Last night for the Jackets, they beat the Penguins 4-3, extending the team's win streak to 4 games, while OSU Hoops got back on track yesterday as well with an 86-74 win over UCLA. Breaking sports news when it happens on The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
This is the Fan Call-In Show.
Sponsored by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
This is the show that allows you to be the star. This is the Fan Call-In Show.
Yes, it is, and we're glad to have you along. Hopefully warm you up a little bit on this chilly Sunday morning. I am Ryan Baker. He is Scotty Vegas, and we want to hear from you. 614-821-9710 is the number to call. Let's light those phone lines up. You can also get a hold of us over on the YouTube chat. Just search 971 The Fan, and all of our shows will pop up right there. And, Scotty, it's one of those things here where Buckeye football season has come to an end, but it really doesn't feel like it. It feels like that game against Miami was 2 months ago with everything that has happened in the transfer portal, which is closed now, so you can still sign guys out of the portal. There are a lot of guys in the portal still, but you cannot go into the portal now. So Ohio State, whoever is on their roster, they are not leaving at this point. We've had the people had declare for the NFL draft, so we're kind of getting a picture of where the Buckeyes roster is, but there is a lot of stuff going on.
Yes, there is a lot going on. And I've been doing this show, I think this is my 8th year now on Sunday mornings. I don't think there's ever been a Sunday morning, Ryan, where I've come in and literally I wrote down 15 different topics.
Oh, I thought it was 11.
It was 11, but then I added Steelers coaching search, Browns coaching search, playoff expansion rumors. I added those to the list. It keeps growing. Literally, there's a list of 15 things in front of me that I'm like, we could spend 2 segments on any of these. Like you could go in depth on any of these, and there's 15 different things. And obviously, the starting point that you talked about was OSU football. And you're absolutely right. Like, it feels like that Miami game was forever ago. We have the national championship game tomorrow night. But what's happened in those 2 or 3 weeks with the transfer portal and you know, all the talk about, who's the next offensive coordinator going to be? Like, there's just
Is Patricia staying?
Is Patricia staying? There's so much to get into. We can't wait to hear from you. You can steer this show however you want. Again, the number is 614-821-9710. But I'm just going to read off. I'm going to read off the 15 things that I wrote down to you. And as a listener, you can call in and take it wherever you want to go. We're going to kind of weave our way through some of these. But we could touch on Ohio State hoops, getting that win yesterday against UCLA.
Nice win.
Adding Puff Johnson. You have some interesting thoughts on that. We could get into that. Blue Jackets, big week for them, right? They fire their coach, and they go on a little winning streak.
I mean, I could talk the whole hour on Blue Jackets.
I know. So. I could do the whole hour on OSU hoops. You have the OSU football transfer portal. You have the Ohio State offensive coordinator. How about last night's game, which was absolutely incredible? The calls late in that Bills-Broncos game, interception or catch, 50-50. Watching that at the casino, everybody was going crazy. And I thought initially that it was going to be a catch, and then they were going to stick with that. And it ended up being an interception, and they stuck with that on the field. I think with that call, it was going to stay one way or the other how it was called on the field.
While we're talking about that game real quick,
yeah.
In hindsight now, and hearing the Bo Nix news, and if you don't know, Bo Nix broke a bone in his ankle in the next to last play of the game, and he's out
for
the rest of the season. He's having surgery on Tuesday. Do we wish that game would have been different now and Buffalo would have won? Because it sure seems like whoever wins this Texans-Patriots game today is walking into the Super Bowl.
Guess what? That was next on my list.
Okay.
It was Vrabel, C.J. Stroud. Whoever wins today probably is going to the Super Bowl. That was one of the other topics. The other thing, Seattle looking absolutely incredible. Are they the team to beat?
Is JSN the best receiver in the league?
Right now, yes. He didn't have a huge day yesterday.
Isn't that crazy, though, to think with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, how it was, and they're both great, and they probably are the correct answer.
Yep.
I always go back to that Rose Bowl when JSN kind of broke out, and Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave were sitting out as they were going to be first-round draft picks. I remember in the lead up to that Rose Bowl, Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, and you know how much I love Chris Olave. He's one of my favorite Buckeyes of all time, and a lot of people thought Garrett Wilson was a better receiver than him. They were both great. You love to have them both. Both of those guys said Jackson Smith and Jigba was better than both of them, and I thought, that's just guys being good teammates. You know, they're pumping up their guy, getting him ready for the game. They might have been right.
Yeah. From what we're seeing, absolutely. So a couple of other, before we get into these topics, a couple other ones I wrote down. Steelers coaching search, Browns coaching search, playoff expansion. There's more talk about a potential format with the 16 team. Potentially it would be a 14 teams, and then you would have 14 play 16 and 15, or I'm sorry, 13 play 16, 14 play 15 as buy-in as games to get into the regular bracket. It's wild how everything is going with the expansion as well. So there is a million topics this morning, and we want to hear from you. Again, take it whatever direction you want to take it. 614-821-9710. What do you want to get into, Ryan?
Well, I don't know if I want to get into, but it was interesting. You talk about the Steelers coaching search. I was driving down to Cincinnati yesterday for Reds Fest, which we had a great time, got some great content for our social medias and some good interviews that are going to be coming out. So make sure you pay attention to 971 The Fan on the socials, and you can see some of that. But Browns Weekend is a show that we play here on The Fan on Saturday mornings. Bo Bishop, one of the hosts of Browns Weekend, they had Andrew Siciliano on, and they were talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers and their coaching search. And it was pretty interesting. And some of the numbers that came out this week, like the Steelers, we know they've only had 3 coaches since 1969. That's insane. They've hired 2 coaches in my lifetime. I've been on this planet 45 years. They've hired 2 coaches in that span. This is going to be their 3rd. But their last 4 coaching hires, Scotty, all of them have been 37 or under. The last 2 were Cowher and Tomlin, both of them 34 years old. They've also all been defensive hires, and the Steelers have said that they do not have a type they're looking at in this coaching search, but 3 of the 4 candidates they've asked to interview already are defensive football coaches.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of interesting with that franchise that they've kind of, even though they haven't done this a lot, they've kind of had a pattern in what they're looking for in a young coach. So we would have to think it could be somebody, and nobody was thinking Bill Cowher when they hired Bill Cowher, and they did. Nobody was thinking Mike Tomlin when they hired Tomlin, and they did. So you'd have to think this is going to be a young, up-and-coming, defensive-minded coach that nobody's really thinking about.
Yeah, and I talked to a couple Steelers fans, and generally, like when you make a coaching hire, I think the fans generally prefer that you hire an offensive guy. Everybody likes having an offensive guru, right? Like, okay, you hire this guy as the head coach. He's had success running an offense. We see it with the Bears, right? Like they take Johnson from the Lions and often running with Caleb Williams and a young quarterback, and everybody's excited, and they're obviously playing to get into the NFC Championship game today. But you're right. It seems like the Steelers are looking from the defensive side of the ball. And, you talked about how it's been forever and how rare it is for the Steelers to be looking for a new head coach. This is your team, obviously, the Cleveland Browns. They've had 35 starting quarterbacks and 9 different head coaches during Mike Tomlin's tenure with the Steelers. That's incredible. And 9 different coaches.
And do you know what's crazy about that is I saw this stat the other day, and you said Tomlin's tenure, so that's what, 06 or 07? One of those two. I believe it's 06. The Cleveland Browns aren't even the team in the NFL that's had the most head coaches or interim head coaches since they came back into the league. That's actually the Las Vegas Raiders, who have had like 14 in that time span. Now, I know that time span's a little longer than what you just said, but it just goes to the stability of the Steelers franchise, right? They are, you can say what you want about them, but they are a model franchise in this league. I think of, like, in my lifetime, 3 teams that have, well, I guess maybe 4. I think of 3 or 4 teams that have kind of been model franchises. One was the New England Patriots. The San Francisco 49ers, I think you can throw in there in my lifetime. The Philadelphia Eagles, I believe, are there, even though they've had some up and down. But the one constant, the main constant, is the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's not a lot of highs. There's not a lot of lows. They're just straight as an arrow, consistent. And the Cleveland Browns, there's nothing consistent. The only consistent thing about the Browns is inconsistency.
Yeah. The only inconsistent thing about them is not winning, right?
Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought up the Steelers. So I'm curious who Steeler fans want as that next guy. Here are the betting odds that have come out, and they've started the process, obviously, of looking for the head coach.
I can't believe that we would come back to betting odds with you.
Yeah, but Chris Shula is currently the favorite, and then you got Brian Flores, who I think that he might be the guy. To me, Brian Flores makes a ton of sense. Robert Saleh, rough night last night as the defensive coordinator for the 49ers, but another good young coach. Jesse Minter, we know here in Columbus, we know about Jesse Minter. He's obviously a assistant with Jim Harbaugh, and then Vance Joseph. Those are your top 5 names that are on the board as far as the Steelers coaching search goes.
I actually love Brian Flores. I think that might be my favorite coach in this coaching circle hire. You know, a guy that wasn't terrible at Miami, but it didn't quite work out. Probably could have learned some things, was gone to Minnesota and just been lights out as their D coordinator. I think Chris Shula's the one. You said he's the betting favorite. I think he's the one that's going to end up in Pittsburgh. An interesting thing about Shula, I believe he's had 4 interviews for head coaching positions in this cycle. He actually turned the Browns down. Yeah. The Browns asked for permission, and he said no. So I think Chris Shula is a name to watch there big time because he fits all of the criteria, and that Sean McVay coaching tree has been kind of hot here recently in the league.
He is the favorite. He is currently the Rams defensive coordinator. And it kind of made me, going back to Ohio State for a second, it kind of made me think with how long this offensive coordinator search is going for Ohio State, that maybe Ohio State might be waiting for these NFL playoffs, some of these things to finish up before they can start making their move.
Could be. And here's something I want to talk about next with you. One, I'm going to get into Buckeye Hoops because I know you love Buckeye Hoops, and they got a nice win yesterday. But Dave Biddle said something interesting on Rothman and Ice, I thought, on Friday about the Ohio State offensive coordinator, and I want to get your take on that coming up next. 614-821-9710 is the number to call. We'd love to hear from you. Also, you can hit us up on the YouTube chat as well. Just search 971 The Fan. More of The Fan call-in show next on The Fan.
The only workplace in America to participate in the Doorknob Fart Game. And we also play office basketball and sometimes do radio. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
It's the biggest sale of the year, the Right Rug Flooring Clearance Sale. Save on thousands of in-stock styles, including carpet starting at 35 cents a square foot. Luxury vinyl starts at 43 cents a square foot. Hardwood and laminate start at 99 cents. Prices are material only. Unbelievable deals on beautiful quality floors. Next day installation and 24-month special financing available with approved credit. Hurry, the Right Rug Flooring Clearance Sale ends January 25th. Right here, right now.
Hey, it's Anthony. Big savings right now with my friends at Germain Honda of Dublin. Boy, it's the perfect time to upgrade your ride. You can lease a new Honda for as low as $199 a month, or definitely take advantage of rates as low as 0% financing on select models. Rich will even give you an additional $1,000 for your trade, even if you don't buy a Honda today. They have more than 400 new Hondas in stock, and the deals are the best around. Germain Honda of Dublin, Sawmill Road, just south of 270, or online at germainhondaofdublin.com.
The Menards 15% off bag sale is here. Whether you pack it, load it, stuff it, or stack it, if it fits in the bag, you save 15%. Need new tools? Updating your bath or faucet? Or simply want some snacks? Put them in the bag and save 15%. So pick up a bag in-store at Menards and find out how much you can fit in the bag. Now through January 24th. See store for complete details.
Save big money at Menards.
This weekend, the Ohio RV and Boat Show, brought to you in part by Tel Ohio Credit Union, is back and bigger than ever at the Ohio Expo Center. Whether it's your first adventure or you're a seasoned outdoor enthusiast, this show has it all. One ticket gets you into all three buildings so you can see the latest in RVs, boats, motorcycles, ATVs, golf carts, and more. From towables to drivers, jet skis to pontoons, and more. It's all here. The Ohio RV and Boat Show at the Ohio Expo Center, January 9th through 18th. Get details and tickets at OhioRVandBoatShow.com.
It's Timmy Hall and AI Common Man. Happy to ring in another year with our friends at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Hey, Mikey, do you want to be a millionaire? Hollywood is the place to do it.
From now until March 25th, you have the chance to win $1 million instantly. And here's something Mikey likey. All new brunch items at the Sportsbook Restaurant and Bar, like Biscoff stuffed French toast, country Benedict, or roast beef hash skillet. Yummy.
Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
It's a playoff Sunday doubleheader on the Fan. The Texans and Patriots kick things off at 2:30 with the Rams and Bears in the nightcap.
Sponsored by Roosters, a fun casual joint.
Your radio home of the NFL, the Fan, Ohio sports destination.
When it comes to a gun suicide attempt, all it takes is a moment.
Heather and I had an argument just like any other couple. I was lost. I had snapped. I had a gun and I was going to take my own life. Heather helped me realize that there was still a life to live for the better of myself, my family. My weapon is now safely put away.
A moment of crisis can happen to anyone. Store your guns, locked, unloaded, and away from ammo. Hear more safe stories at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
It's a new year. Ready for a fresh start or career reboot? At My Computer Career, prep for a more recession-resistant future in the high-demand fields of IT, cybersecurity, in months, not years, including AI. Whether you're starting out or switching careers, no prior training is needed. Attend school online from home or on campus. Go to mycomputercareer.edu to take the free career evaluation today. mycomputercareer.edu, an elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
While serving in Vietnam, a grenade took my ability to see. Today, I'm a sculptor. Now, my fingers are my eyes. I'm Michael Naranjo. As a veteran, I know the challenges of life can be great. In my art, turning a lump of clay into something beautiful, that is worth doing. Life is like that. We each must use what we can to make things better.
DAV helps veterans like Michael get the benefits they've earned. They help more than 1 million veterans every year in life-changing ways.
Now, I show others how they can create something with their own hands. I know it can do a lot of good. With support from DAV, more veterans can shape their lives into a thing of beauty. My victory is bringing beauty into the world.
Michael Naranjo, may your victories inspire many more. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Hey, are you driving high right now? You might be, because a whole lot of people do. They say marijuana makes them a better driver, more careful, more focused. That's probably what the guy who killed a 4-year-old thought. And now, he's in prison. You see, no matter what you tell yourself, if you feel different, you drive different. So if you're high, just don't drive. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
It's going to be a chilly one for us today with high temperatures in the low to mid-20s today. We'll have a mix of sun and clouds and wind chills staying in the teens for the most part. It'll be blustery with gusts up to 20 miles an hour. Some areas of light snow are possible overnight. Looks like less than an inch. Not a big impact there, but heading into Monday, it is going to be a cold one. Temperatures fall through the teens throughout the day with a gusty wind up to 30 miles an hour with any light snow ending early. I'm meteorologist Justin Gertz with your 10 weather impact forecast.
1, 2, 3. Here at the Fan is always football o'clock. Proud to be your home of the Buckeyes, Browns, and all the NFL games you can handle. The Fan.
Back to the show of the fans, by the fans, and for those crazy fans. This is the Fan Call-In Show.
Sponsored by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
Let's warm those phone lines up. 614-821-9710 is the number to call. We want to hear from you. 614-821-9710. You can also chime in over on the YouTube chat. Chris chimes in a little bit. What are your thoughts about Bo Nix getting injured and out for the rest of the playoffs? We touched on that a little bit the first segment, but didn't go into it a lot. It was really weird because it looked like a normal play. Like when Schefter came out with the report right after the game, and obviously Sean Payton said it in the post-game press conference, and he said that Bo Nix was having surgery on his ankle on Tuesday. He broke a bone in it, and he would be out for the rest of the playoffs. You go back and look at the play, and it was the next to last play of the game. He gets up. He's walking fine. It doesn't look like he's limping. You wouldn't even know he was hurt, and let alone hurt bad enough that his season is over.
I just imagine and I picture all these Denver fans like spilling out of the stadium, like, oh, celebrating. They're at the, they're feeling great. You just pulled off an incredible win. You're going to the AFC Championship game, and then you're driving home and you're sitting in your car and you're like, what? He's going to be out for the rest of the year, and they're devastated, right? Like, I just can't even imagine the range of emotions that Broncos fans had to feel on this. And by the way, Jared Stidham is the backup. So Jared Stidham is now, and he has not thrown a pass in 749 days. That was the last time that he threw a pass in an NFL game.
In a game. I'm sure he's thrown some passes.
Well,
but in a game.
sure. But he has not thrown a pass in a game in 749 days. That's over 2 years since he's been in. And he is going to go start an AFC Championship game. And, yeah, it does kind of suck, right? Like, at this point, we're all kind of like, man, we want to see the best possible football games that we can get. Like watching that game last night where you had the 49ers that were just so banged up going into that game. And you knew it was going to be an uphill climb for the 49ers anyway, but they were just so banged up. McCaffrey gets hurt during the game and so many injuries. It just made for a really crappy game that wasn't even worth watching. And now I fear that the AFC Championship game is going to be something similar. Now,
it sure seems like
Denver's D is great.
Yep.
It's going to be a home game for Denver, so maybe they can keep it really low scoring against the winner of today's game. But, man, it does take a lot of the excitement out of the AFC Championship game.
And you would have to think if the Texans win, that's kind of the football the Texans play, right? They play, they're defense heavy, so maybe it's just going to be a slugfest, like 10-7 type game, 13-10 type of game. New England, I think, has the ability to maybe open it up a little more with Drake May and the duo of Ramondre Stevenson and Trey Hendrickson. But New England's a really good defensive team too. So maybe Denver can muck that up and keep it close and somehow win this. But then you're even looking at a Super Bowl, right? Where maybe it could not be the greatest football.
So let me ask you both this, and if you want to chime in, you can. 614-821-9710 is the phone number. Today we've got a battle of C.J. Stroud and Mike Vrabel from an Ohio State perspective. Let's say you're not a fan of either the Texans or the Patriots, which I doubt there's a ton of Texans or Patriots fans in Columbus, but the excitement level for this game is watching Vrabel versus C.J. Stroud. Is there a rooting interest for you guys for today? Because for me, I would love to see C.J. Stroud, a Buckeye quarterback, make the run and make it all the way to the Super Bowl. That's where my rooting interest is seeing C.J. Stroud. I know he struggled against the Steelers, but they found a way to win. What are your guys' rooting interests today?
So it's interesting because I don't know if I have a rooting interest that way. I loved Mike Vrabel. Vrabel was on the Buckeye teams that were a part of my youth, my formidable years, so they'll always have a special place in my heart. CJ was great though too, and you got to love CJ, what he did here at Ohio State. I'm going to take this a little different route. I'm not going to go Buckeye in this. I would love to see Nick Chubb and everything that he did with the Browns, maybe my favorite Browns player of all time. And I hate that he's not on the Browns anymore. But I feel like Nick Chubb, everything he's been through, having to be in the Browns organization, the devastating knee injuries he's had, and I know he's not a main part of this Texans team, but I would love to see Nick Chubb get a swing at this thing.
Don't make me emotional this morning, Big. With Nick Chubb talk, oh my gosh, that just rips my heart open. But I'm similar. I love Nick Chubb, and it would be fun to see C.J. Stroud be able to make it to the Super Bowl, because today, with the news from last night with Bo Nix getting hurt, it feels like this is the game that pretty much determines who's going to be in the Super Bowl. And so, but I go back and forth because I would love to see C.J. Stroud, but the Pats have looked so good. And I think, in my opinion, I think the Pats will win today, but I would love to see the Texans make it a good game.
So this is how big of a swing Bo Nix being out is. In the look-ahead line, the winner of today's game was going to be a 3.5-point underdog. Either team that won, like
to Denver,
at Denver.
Okay.
Yes, they were going to be a 3.5-point underdog going to Denver. Whether it was the Patriots or the Texans, they were going to be a 3.5-point underdog. And now the look-ahead line is whoever wins today is going to be a 3-point favorite at Denver.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's a 6.5-point swing.
And I think Mile High is one of the true home field advantages
No doubt.
in the league, for sure.
Yeah, well, you saw yesterday, and I think this wasn't even played up enough, was the Bills players having to adjust to the altitude, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they showed them on the sideline a little bit with the sucking down the oxygen, and I know they talked about it a little bit, but I think that is a huge advantage for Denver. And but we got to get into the calls down the stretch and then that interception down the stretch.
So I was just going to say, Joe on YouTube says Bo Nix was incredible in that game, and this stinks for the Broncos. And he says the fact that interception wasn't reviewed is diabolical by the NFL.
Where were you on how that played out? Because to me, it was going to stick either way of whatever the call on the field was. It was that close. And
so I'm not going to lie, I haven't seen the play because I got home from the Reds Fest. I turned that game on in the second quarter. I watched it until halftime in the just ridiculous. Well, I don't think we're talking about that enough. The end of the half for the Bills, which was brutal. Yeah. That was a 10-point swing in that football game. If you don't have that, the Bills win the game, which is just insane. But then I was Jackets after that. So I did not see the play. I haven't seen a replay of it yet. I'm going to have to go back and watch it.
Yeah, it was one of those where we were at the casino watching and everybody was screaming, right? Because it looked like, because if it's a catch by Cooks, the Bills are in field goal range to just hit basically a chip shot to win the game, right? If the catch is ruled a catch by Cooks, then the Bills are going to win. And instead, it was like a simultaneous interception. It was an incredible defensive play, but it was at the exact same time. They rule it an interception on the field, and the Broncos get it, and they go down and win the game with a field goal. To me, it was like whatever the call on the field would have to stay with that call. Where are you on that, Isaiah, watching that play?
I said watching the game last night, if you were a Broncos fan and they reversed it, you'd be pissed. And if you were a Bills fan and they kept it how it is, you'd be pissed. I mean, it was one of those where either way, when I saw it happen, I'm always under the mindset that if it's a tie ball, like if they both have it, it's always awarded to the offense.
Yeah.
But last night when I watched the play happen, there wasn't really a point where they both did have it, but it felt like Brandon Cooks had it first and then it was ripped away. There was never a point where they were really fighting over it. And so for me, it was whatever the stand or the call was on the field was probably going to stand. But if you could have convinced me either way, like I have no in between on it.
I feel like there's something else we have to talk about with this game between Denver and Buffalo, and we will get into that in 2 minutes. It's the Fan Call-In Show on The Fan.
Ms. Fernandez, what are those tiny things?
Those are what we call amoebas. You can only see them through a microscope.
Wow.
Today's students are tomorrow's great thinkers and innovators. But right now, there's a funding crisis in public schools. Millions of kids go to schools that don't have funding for books, computers, and so much more just because of where they live. You can help change that. DonorsChoose is a nonprofit that lets you support students and teachers in your community and beyond. You choose which supplies to support. You could provide first graders with pencils and paper, or other students with their first chapter books, help a music class get a guitar.
You could even supply a classroom like mine with a science project. But what you're really giving is the moment that sparks a brighter tomorrow.
To learn more, please visit DonorsChoose.org. That's DonorsChoose.org. Choose students. Shape the future.
I slept in a lot of different rooms, different beds, but none of them really felt like mine. I spent 14 years in foster care, mostly in group homes. And I never had much stuff because I always had to be ready to move. Why get things if you just have to let them go?
There are more than 100,000 children in foster care waiting to be adopted. The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is working to help find them a forever family and a permanent home of their own.
Now I have my own room with walls that tell my story. I love hanging out in here. I play dress up with my sisters and I sing and make videos. But the best part? Knowing I'll always have a place to go and a family that loves and supports me.
If you have room in your home or your heart, see how you can help at davethomasfoundation.org.
During this 10-second promo, Rothman will lose money gambling on something.
People like you come here and blow the family nest egg that built this town.
Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan. Ever want to be a radio star? Or at least hear your voice on the air? Perhaps embarrass all your relatives? This is the Fan Call-In Show.
Sponsored by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
That's right. It is the Fan Call-In Show, and we want to hear from you. 614-821-9710. Do have some people chiming in over on the YouTube chat. You can do that as well. A big thanks to the Sportsbook at ESPN, or Hollywood Casino for sponsoring the show. And you guys had a time over there yesterday watching the NFL playoffs.
So it was funny. Before the start of the game, Ryan, I asked the entire casino, which, by the way, it was standing room only yesterday. It was packed for the NFL games. And I asked the entire room, who are you rooting for? Who'd you bet? And first I go, all right, who's on the Broncos? And the room was silent. Like, just silent. There was like one or two people. And then I'm like, all right, who's on the Bills? And everybody is screaming and yelling, and it's us. We're betting the Bills. And so they were the public team. And I think they were the public team because of Josh Allen, right? Everybody is like, oh, he's the best player left in the playoffs. He's the best quarterback left in the playoffs. Let's get behind Josh Allen. And he had a terrible day yesterday.
And that's where I wanted to go in this. And I'm not sure anybody's talking about it much, but it may be time to have a conversation about Josh Allen. And I think Josh Allen, and let me just be totally transparent here, I think this is probably the worst Bills team Josh Allen has had. I don't think this team, they don't have a lot of weapons for him. James Cook is amazing and had one of the best years of anybody in the NFL this year. But I think the defense has regressed a little bit. His wide receiver talent is not great. And I think Josh Allen's not old by any means. He's 29 years old, and he's a big guy. He's a big frame, so he can take a lot of the punishment he's taken. But I think there's time to have a talk about Josh Allen, and I don't know if he's ever going to win one. If not this year, when? There was no Mahomes, as we talk about the quarterbacks who just head-to-head quarterback to play, challenge him. There was no Mahomes. There was no Lamar. There was no Joe Burrow. So 3 of the best quarterbacks in the AFC weren't there this year to take him on. Now, Bo Nix, Drake May, they might be the next wave of those quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence, those guys might be the next wave of quarterbacks. I don't know. But the path was there for Josh Allen this year. If not now, when? And I don't know if it's ever going to happen now for Josh Allen.
Well, and it's funny because I do believe that Josh Allen is very easy to root for. I think that the casual NFL fan that's like a Browns fan or a Bengals fan or a Steelers fan that doesn't have a dog in the fight can get behind a guy like Josh Allen. And you watch him last night after the game is over, and he's literally crying. Like he had tears coming down, put the blame on himself. He is such a likable guy. And the Bills are kind of that likable franchise, partially because of the heartbreak that they've been through. And Josh Allen yesterday was kind of the reason they lost that game, because of the mistakes that were made, the fumbles, the picks. Now, I know that 50-50 ball, that's a tough one to go. But the mistake, he missed the tight end, which probably would have been a game winner at the end of regulation. And it's brutal, right, for Bills fans and people that were pulling for the Bills and people that bet on the Bills yesterday, because it was right there. It was right there for the Bills to take it, and they couldn't take it.
And you can dispute the calls at the end of the first half, but you can't run with the ball like that in that situation if you're Josh Allen. And I know he's trying to make a play, but you have got to make sure ball security is number one in that situation, and just giving the Broncos all of that momentum and 3 more points was just crushing at the end of the half. Who has more pressure now moving forward, Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen?
It's got to be Josh Allen. It's very close. You know, they're both kind of in the YouTube chat. Someone did talk about how they've been through the same postseason woes. I mean, Josh Allen's 0-7 in overtimes. Like he has been snake bit, and that franchise has too. And you're right. This was the opportunity for Josh Allen and the Bills, and this is a brutal loss.
I do think it's interesting, and I don't know if it's any kind of karma or poetic justice, but I do think it's funny that the Bills before the year were one of the teams leading the ban on the tush push conversation, and then they used the tush push to get their one playoff win as much as they did. So I don't know if that's some kind of poetic justice or not, but
a 20-yard tush push as is.
Yeah, just kind of interesting in that. Buckeye Hoops yesterday. You get a big game from John Mobley, and I'll get into that in a second. They win the game. They beat UCLA. It's a UCLA team that's not a great UCLA team, but they're a decent UCLA team. And Ohio State needs to stack as many wins as they can right now. So that is a nice win for the Buckeyes yesterday.
It was huge because that was one where you cannot lose that one. And UCLA had one of their best players out. Tilly was able to go. He was questionable throughout the week. He was able to go. And UCLA is a team with Ohio State that is like right on the edge of being a tournament team at this point, right? There's a site called Bracket Matrix. They have all these projected brackets out. I know it's only mid-January, so we've got a long way to go, but they project Ohio State as one of the last 4 teams in, and UCLA as one of the first 4 teams out. So that's a game where it's a home game. You had to get the win. Congrats to Ohio State. They got it done. I do want to get to Mobley, because to me, he is the biggest factor on whether Ohio State wins or loses games, because he has such a range of, if he plays well, it's a really good Ohio State basketball team. If he's not playing well, it's a really mediocre Ohio State basketball team. And I think the key for Ohio State is to find a way to get Mobley's floor a little bit higher, because they really struggle. Like that Washington game earlier in the week, Mobley played really bad. And he was defended really well, but he played really bad, and Ohio State couldn't do it. Yesterday, he played great, and Ohio State took care of business.
Yeah, you had the big 3 of Royal, Thornton, and Mobley play really well yesterday, and that's one of the few times this year that all 3 of them have really played well in the same game. John Mobley, to me, is the most disappointing thing for this basketball team this year, because I think he burst on the scene as a freshman last year. I think we all thought that Mobley was going to jump up and kind of challenge Bruce to be that guy on offense, right? Maybe not the best player on the team, because I don't think there's any doubt that's Bruce, but maybe the guy that in crunch time you look to get a bucket so Bruce doesn't have to do it all the time. And it's been so up and down for him. He's had a couple games where he's been fantastic, but then he's had some games where it just seems like he doesn't know what he's doing and he's lost. And I think that's a huge disappointing factor for this Buckeye basketball team, because I think you thought he was going to take that next step this year and really be a go-to guy.
So I do think he's taken a step. The problem is he lacks the consistency. Like 28 points yesterday and 6 of 12 shooting. I mean, we're not going to expect that every single night, but that was a heck of an effort yesterday afternoon. And then the game before, you're looking at 1 for 5, 1 for 3 from 3, and he had 3 points out of him against Washington. I don't think he's been what I would call disappointing. I think, Ohio State has one really bad loss on the year this year, and it was to Pittsburgh. And he went out in the first half, and I do believe that if Mobley didn't go out in that game, that Ohio State would have beaten Pitt. And so that game hurts. The rest of the schedule, you look at it, Ohio State lost by 1 on a neutral court to North Carolina. They were in the game very late against an undefeated Nebraska team. And so they've dropped a couple. They've won a couple that have been close, but they've dropped a couple that have been close. Unfortunately, you got to find a way to keep Mobley's floor from being the floor that we saw against Washington. You need him to be decent or great, not horrible or great.
And unfortunately, at this point of the year, Scotty, we've just got to expect nothing from this bench. It's your starters, and that's it. Because 2 points yesterday off the bench, it's just, since Amari Bynum has moved to the starting lineup and Brandon Nola's gone out, you've got nothing.
No, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. We got Puff. We got Puff Johnson coming in here. For the casual fan that doesn't pay really close attention to Ohio State hoops, Puff Johnson is a 25-year-old, played at North Carolina a couple years, played at Penn State, averaged 10 points a game with Penn State last year. He is now eligible. There's a lawsuit out there. He is now eligible to join the team. We'll see what kind of impact he makes, but this is a team that desperately needs help on the bench, and you hope that Puff Johnson can provide. He obviously has a lot of experience. He's 25. Hopefully that's a difference maker down the stretch, because Ohio State, you're right, their biggest problem, I like their starting 5 a lot. Their biggest problem is their bench.
Excuse me for not being excited about this, and I understand what Ohio State's doing. They have to, right? These are the rules. It's out there. You got to play by the rules. Everybody else is doing it. I just, I don't like it when other people do it, because I hate this, and I hate the direction that college athletics is going with this stuff. And it's just weird that this guy can get a court to block whatever what is it? I don't know. They're temporary suspending whatever the NCAA has said about him not being eligible to play, which is going to let him play. And I just don't like it. So Ohio State has to do it. I understand, but I don't love it. I don't love it when other teams do it. So I'm not going to love it when my team does it, even though they're playing in this new world, this new system.
That's fine. I mean, I totally, it's fine that you don't like the system. But for Ohio State, their job and Jake Diebler's job is to go win games. And if Puff Johnson can go and help you win games, absolutely. Now, he was a top 100 recruit back in the 2020 class. That's how long ago. But look across the board in college football, too, Ryan. I mean, we're seeing 23, 24-year-olds. You'll see them tomorrow night in the national championship game.
Listen, you just mentioned the 2020 class. Ohio State football this next season is going to have 2 recruits from the 2020 class on their team. They had none last year. Nobody. The whole 2020 class was gone.
Yep.
Now they're going to have 2, and Hunter Welsing and Jacoby Jackson, 2 guys that transferred in to this Ohio State football team this year. So you're right. It's the world we live in. I don't love it, so I'm not going to celebrate it when Ohio State does it, I guess. It's just me. I don't like it. But it's interesting that you talked about the 2020 recruiting class, which led into football, because that's where I want to go next.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about maybe what Ohio State, where the roster is now, and what they are going to do at offensive coordinator. We've also got room for you. 614-821-9710 is the number to call. It's the Fan Call-In Show on The Fan.
We have so many local shows, I can't fit them in a 10-second promo. So let's just say we're live and local all damn day. The Fan.
Holiday shopping was fun, but those credit card balances aren't merry. Transfer them to a new Kemba Visa and enjoy 0% APR for 18 months on balances transferred in the first 90 days. Apply at Kemba.org and put more of your money toward debt, not interest. Offer ends March 31st, 2026. Restrictions apply. Variable rate product. Equal opportunity lender.
Mike Rowe here with a random fact. More than half of the homes that have basements in North America will experience water damage. It's true. Whether it's basement moisture, flooding, or bowing walls, do yourself a favor and call a Groundworks company. I spent some time working with these guys. They're the real deal. Their people are trained and certified to waterproof your basement and stabilize your walls. Schedule a free inspection with Ohio Basement Authority, a Groundworks company.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted.
You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
And so did you.
When you raised your hand and swore an oath to your country, when you put your name on a dotted line, you became part of only 1% of Americans who did the same. You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran. Because no matter when, where, or how you served, you made a sacrifice for your country, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Reach out to a loved one, to a fellow veteran, to VA.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Around the world, Children International and friends like you are giving children in poverty a chance to grow and thrive, to be healthy, to succeed in school, and achieve great things. How do we do it? In the best way possible, by helping ensure access to healthcare, nutrition, and educational opportunities. And most importantly, by empowering youths and their families to get out of poverty and into employment through life skills, computer, and job training. The very tools they need to break the cycle of poverty and build futures full of promise. Because every child deserves a chance to realize their full and best potential. Learn more about how Children International is empowering children and families by going to children.org today. That's children.org.
What would it take for my child to only miss half a day of school for treatment?
What would it take to fund a cure for childhood cancer?
It would take all of us to come together to support the research. Join us. Go to childrenscancer.org today.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Weston Air Heating and Cooling and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep you and your home comfortable. The Fan.
Incarceration, America's rock, metal, and tattoo festival returns this summer with Limp Bizkit. Disturbed. You walk out like a woman in Superman. Bad Omens. Plus Gojira, Papa Roach, A Day to Remember, Motionless in White, Ice Nine Kills, Cypress Hill, The Used, and so many more. Incarceration at the Ohio State Reformatory, July 17th to 19th. Passes on sale now at incarceration.com.
You know what hope is? Hope is action. Carving a path forward, even when it's hard.
And kids who still know how to dream. They're the best pathfinders of all.
So at Child Fund, hope means helping millions of children living in poverty worldwide to grow up healthy, educated, skilled, and so all those good things can come true for them, safe.
And that means safe at home, safe at school, and safe online.
Hope means walking this path together, all of us. Because when we work together, we can do so much more.
That's right. Hope includes you.
Child Fund, because we need each other.
To learn how Child Fund works with children in 23 countries to help them achieve their full potential, visit childfund.org. That's childfund.org.
Mommy, can I sit in the front seat just this one time? Please, please, please.
No, not yet.
But why?
Because I love you, and you're just not ready yet. Now, get in the back so I can get you in your car seat, please.
Putting your kids in the right seat for their age and size is an act of love. Check that your kids are in the right seat at NHTSA.gov/the right seat. Love protects. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Bishop and Friends. How did anybody decide that would be like a good way to start your day?
I just pop it in the toaster. It's real quick.
I know how it works. Thank you.
Bishop and Friends, sponsored by Diamond Cellar.
Weekdays from 9 to noon on The Fan.
Your kids and spouse might not listen to you, but we will. This is the Fan Call-In Show.
Sponsored by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Columbus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
Final segment of this week's call-in show. 614-821-9710 is the number to call. A little on the money with Scotty and Dave Biddle coming up next. And Dave Biddle just popped his head in the studio and said good morning. And he joined Rothman and Ice on Friday afternoon and was talking all things Buckeyes. And the portal closed on Friday, so the Ohio State roster, you could see an addition or two here as guys are still in the portal. But your roster is in much clearer focus now as the portal has closed.
And we have a kicker.
We got a kicker. We got a kicker, which I think might have been everybody's number one. Connor Hawkins, who's transferring in from Baylor. Did see yesterday that Aaron Scott Jr. Is on his way to Oregon. Former 5-star cornerback from Springfield, Ohio. So a little bumming news there that I know there was some talk that maybe they could bring Aaron Scott Jr. back, but earlier this week, Ohio State signed Cam Calhoun from Alabama and Dominic Kelly of Georgia to shore up that cornerback spot. So that kind of led you to believe that Aaron Scott would be going elsewhere, and he is.
So one thing I want to bring up, just funny thing about Aaron Scott and this transfer. At some point, maybe some of these kids don't want to get tattoos of their school. With having
one of those,
yep. He's got the Block O tattoo, and at some point now that we're in the transfer portal era, we got to maybe not do the school tattoos. But
maybe he can get away with that since he's from Springfield and he grew up in Ohio. But I did see, I can't remember, I think it's James Smith, but it could be Quay Rusal. But one of the two Alabama transfers has the A tattooed on the arm, so he'll be playing with the Buckeyes with that Alabama A.
Now, I think you can change the Block O to like an Oregon O relatively easily, right?
Probably could. Throw a duck in the middle there.
You could do that. I don't know how you change an Alabama A to a Block O. That's a little bit more difficult, but
I'm sure
creative.
You could do something. Yeah. Maybe like just put a Buckeye, like the nut itself, a Buckeye right there. And
There you
just
go.
Color it in. So
hey, let's talk offensive coordinator.
Yeah, because that's where I was going with Dave. So Dave had an interesting. Maybe some people have thought of this. I really hadn't thought of it, I guess, but you had talked about that maybe Ohio State was waiting to see where all of these NFL hires and coordinators and all of that shake out. So he brought up an interesting name, Chicago Bears.
J.T. Barrett.
Quarterback coach and former Ohio State, J.T. Barrett. And I wondered your thoughts on J.T.
Yeah.
Do you think that would be a good move for Ohio State?
So my initial feeling is, oh my gosh, J.T. Barrett. That would be amazing to have him back. Really successful. In fact, he's gotten a lot of talk as far as some of these jobs opening up in the NFL, about opportunities in the NFL as well. So he's obviously worked his way up into this position. And look, quarterback coach at the Bears. Really, really good job by J.T. Barrett. I'd love to have him back. The thing that I asked Dave about last night at the casino, I'm like, now J.T. Barrett, him coming in, not a lot of play calling experience, right? And yeah, that's true. He's not calling plays for the Chicago Bears. So that would be the one thing. It's like you expect your offensive coordinator to have play calling experience. But I love the idea of J.T. Barrett. And I think the reason they are waiting, if you look at the list of names that keep popping up, the Brian Dable, the Todd Monken, the Cliff Kingsbury, the J.T. Barrett, and another college name, Garrett Riley, another name out there that's kind of talked about. I love the idea of J.T. Barrett, but of course, that probably means you're still having Ryan Day mostly calling plays.
Let's go back, or let's go out to those phone lines real quick. Vaughn called in. We'll get you in before the end of the show. Good morning, Vaughn. Thanks for calling the Fan Call-In Show.
Hey, guys. How we doing?
Doing good, buddy.
Hey, I just heard you guys mention a few things. Yes, Aaron Scott is one of the ones who has the Block O tatted, but he's also from Ohio, so I think it's a little less egregious when you're like one of the kids who actually want to go to the school and play. And I think that's worse because it's like homegrown talent has the Block O, was on the team when they won the championship, and then still goes somewhere else to go play corner, which I guess, I mean, they're not a Block O, just a regular O. So not that big of a change. Maybe you can get it altered or something like that. And then I also just wanted to talk, I didn't know if you guys talked about that Bo Nix freak injury at the end of the game. That's just crazy for the Broncos to be able to beat the Bills in a controversial way and then lose your starting quarterback for the AFC Championship game. It's just crazy.
Yeah, thank you for the call, Vaughn. Really appreciate it. We did talk a lot about Bo Nix, and it sure seems like whoever wins that Patriots-Texans game is just going to walk into the AFC or walk into the Super Bowl. However, this Denver team is more than just Bo Nix. They've got a good defense as well, an experienced head coach that's won before in Sean Payton. So maybe not as easy as we're kind of thinking. I want to go back to the JT Barrett thing. And I love JT Barrett. I hated that people complained about JT Barrett like they did. Oh, and it's funny now we want a quarterback that runs. When we had JT Barrett, we ran the quarterback too much. I think that's interesting with Ohio State. I love JT. I'm not going to say he's not ready to be Ohio State's offensive coordinator. And I've told you, Scotty, all along, I kind of get the feeling that Ryan does want to continue to call plays, so it would make sense from that. Here's the one thing I don't like about it with JT right now. I feel like you need someone kind of like Chip Kelly, and not in the fact that it has to be Chip Kelly, but someone that has had experience as a head coach in college football that can help Ryan. There is so much Ryan has to do right now from a head coaching standpoint that I would like someone in there with some head coaching experience that can help take some of that off Ryan's plate, that can help him when there's so many things going on or Ryan has to be away from the team. You have a guy that's been a head coach before that can help run some of that. That's my one thing where I would be against JT Barrett. You can never have enough former Buckeyes, though, on your staff to me.
I also love the idea, though, of him being able to help tutor a quarterback, right? Like, so maybe you have a co-offensive coordinator that helps with play calling, and JT Barrett's real focus is the development of the quarterback, right? Of Julian Saint and then Tavian St. Clair after that. So maybe that's the advantage, but maybe you do have a co-offensive coordinator that has play calling experience.
You want more talk on the Buckeyes and who's going to be the offensive coordinator? Don't go anywhere. Dave Biddle, Scotty Vegas sits on the money. It's next on The Fan.
All the Ohio State conversation you can handle. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
Your Ohio State flagship.